What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Therapy on Two Wheels. Today we're going to be talking about how to progressively brake on a motorcycle. Let's jump in. So there's a few keys when you're looking to progressively brake on a motorcycle. It's going to have all to do with your front brake over here on the right hand side, and then you're going to have the rear brake down here on the right hand side, which is going to be a pedal for your foot. So stopping power, you're going to have at least 70% here on the top with your handbrake, and then another 30% or so down with the rear brake. So anytime that you do need to come to an immediate stop, you're really going to be focusing on that front brake because that's going to give you the most stopping power. If you are in a situation where you need to brake as quickly as possible, you're going to be using that rear brake as well. But the key and the focus is to not just slam on your brakes. So whether you do or don't have ABS makes a big difference with that as well. If you don't have ABS, which is anti-lock braking system, what's going to happen is that as you slam on those front brakes, that front wheel is going to lock up and you're likely going to go over your handlebars. And what happens if you lock up that rear brake is it's going to lock up that tire and you're likely going to be flung off of your motorcycle. So it's not great to grab the brakes as quickly as possible. You want to progressively brake. So what that means here is I'm looking at my front right brake. A lot of times it's best practice is to be covering the brake at all times, especially if you're in areas where you're not just on an open freeway, maybe you're on a curvy road or you can't see around the curves very easily. You always want to have at least the 1 or 2 fingers on that front brake so that you can progressively brake at any point in time. Now, progressive braking does not mean you're going to pull that in as quickly as possible. It's progressively pull. And as you get closer to the throttle, to the actual handlebar, you're going to be pulling harder and harder. So as you initially start to brake, it should not be a knee-jerk reaction. It should be slow, quick. And you're going faster and faster as you pull that brake in. So if I'm here and I'm in an emergency situation, I'm going to start pulling slowly, and then all the way in as fast as I can with that brake until I actually come to a stop. Great way to practice this is get into an open area. So right here, there is a lot of traffic, so I'm not going to be doing it here. But if you're on an open road or maybe a dead end street or something like that, it's a great place to practice where you can get yourself going, get up to 15, 20 miles an hour just in first gear, and then work on your progressive braking. Especially if you do not have ABS, you want to be really careful and want to make sure that you understand progressive braking, because there are going to be situations that come up, and it's likely going to be when you're not expecting it where you're going to need the progressive braking the most. So practice this as much as you can, especially as a newer rider. And if you're taking the MSF course, a lot of those instructors will actually tell you that you can go onto the course itself if it's not in use and go practice the things that you learned in the MSF course. So they have the little things drawn out on the actual road or on the actual concrete or wherever you're at. You can actually go practice your progressive braking. So, or you can just put a line or put tape in the road, and once you hit that marker, practice on progressive braking and then see how far you're going in the distance. So you want to try to continually decrease the distance that you're traveling when you're progressively braking. So if you do it the first time, you are, say this line up here with my marker, I progressively brake and I get 3 blocks up, and that's how far it takes me to actually come to a complete stop. I want to get that to the point where maybe I'm doing 2 blocks or 1.5. So just continue to practice that. You'll get better and better on it. And then when you're in those emergency situations, when you actually need to progressively brake, it's going to be a reaction that is positive rather than a knee-jerk reaction to just grab on the brake as quickly as possible. So I'll show you here just a quick example. I'm going to turn right up at the street, make sure there's no cars behind me, and then just show you what progressive braking looks like. Let's go ahead and get started. Make sure there's no cars coming behind me. And as I'm coming to the stop sign here, I'm going to downshift and then slow. And as I come quicker, it gets me to a stop. Now this one does have ABS on it. So for me, even if I was to slam on those brakes, it's really more of a quick kind of jitter that you're going to notice. If I come here, I'm going to upshift, and let's say I'm going to pull over here in just a second and somebody is pulling out in front of me. I need to make a quick stop. I'm going to downshift and then just start progressively braking quicker and quicker until I come to a stop. And at the same time, especially if you're just using a motorcycle for the first time, you're about to take your course, you want to make sure you're pulling in the clutch at the same time that you are braking. There's very little situations that you would be in where you would need to keep the clutch out when you're braking, because what happens is once you come to a complete stop or even get slow enough, your bike is going to stall because you don't have any throttle input, because you're braking as you're slowing down, and as your engine slows down, especially if you're not in first gear, you're going to stall out pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind as you're going through and you're learning how to progressively brake. One of those good practices as well is getting up into second gear and then downshifting while you're progressively braking. That's something that you do in the MSF courses. They get you up in second gear up to about 20 miles per hour. And then there's a line that once you cross that line, they tell you, okay, once you hit that line, downshift and brake as quickly as possible. So I'll show you that here when I'm coming up to the stop sign. I'm in a residential neighborhood, so I'm gonna try not to freak anybody out with stopping really quickly. But as I'm here, I'm in second gear. Once I get past this truck, I'm gonna use that as my marker to downshift and then progressively brake. So here, downshift, progress, press, 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 and slower, slower, slower until you come to a stop. So you'll notice that as you start doing this, you'll become more and more familiar with the feeling of the front tire and the whole front end of your bike kind of nosediving as you're braking. So you'll notice as it slowly starts to go, it puts a lot of that weight and a lot of that force onto the front of the motorcycle. So it helps you slow down a lot quicker when the forks start diving. The weight shifts forward. So as you brake, 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 and harder, that's progressive braking. So I hope you all enjoyed this video on learning how to progressively brake on a motorcycle. Put any comments that you have down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want to see future videos. I'm going to do a whole series on how-to videos for new motorcyclists. So I'll see you all in the next video.